Welcome to the Amazing Truth Podcast, a podcast where we focus on real issues and have real talk, and as always, provide a biblical perspective. We hope that you will be blessed as you listen.
Hello and welcome to the Amazing Truth Podcast. This is the Amazing Truth Minute.
This is the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Stitcher. Like us on Facebook at the Amazing Truth Podcast. The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
Today we'll reflect on a quote by a certain writer, Yvonne Woon. And the quote says, "Sometimes you have to look back in order to understand the things that lie ahead." So, as you listen to this podcast today, I want you to reflect. Look back at where you've been. Look back at where you're going. And most importantly, look back at the experiences that have shaped who you are, whether by reading a book, listening to a podcast, watching a movie, reading any spiritual book that you that conforms to your faith. But then don't spend too much time back there. Look at the things that lie ahead for you. And what do these things mean to you? And what do these things have in store for you? And once you do that, you'll have a better understanding of who you are and what lies ahead of you. And that shapes how you think, how you relate to one another, and how best you can be as a version of yourself. And that is the Amazing Truth Minute.
The Amazing Truth Podcast. Real issues, real talk.
We are excited to have you here with us. Hey, Kenan.
Yes.
How long?
It's been a minute. Couple of months. I think our last episode was in May.
In May, and this is July. So almost 2 months, give and take. Give and take 2 months. Man, we've missed you. We've missed you, our listeners. We've missed, I've seen a lot of people writing and saying, "Where did these guys go? What happened to these guys?" Right?
and yeah, thank you, because that was a wake up call, and we'll tell you why. There was a brief pause.
What are some of the things you had that made you give you the wake up call?
Some of my friends, or I thought we haven't spoken in years, but they asked once we posted that thing that we are back. I was like, "What about time? Where were you?" And I got good criticism, positive ones about the podcast
Good feedback.
So people asking, "Man, your content is good. We miss you. We want to dive deep into those stories. We want practical help." So I got a lot of feedback from people when we were silent.
I also did get some feedback. Some people said, "Man, our podcasts are long." And I was trying to wrestle with that. How do we cut it and still get the content of it? Some people. I remember just recently went for lunch with a couple of, buddies of ours.
Yeah.
And as we gathered, we seated there. And all of a sudden, everyone in the table turned around to, a story they had and these that went and stuff. And I said, okay. That's when I realized, okay.
It's real.
We need to get behind it. For me, that was a wake-up call. So I'm excited about, just being able to be back. And welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Kenan.
Thank you. Welcome back, Ezra.
Welcome
back, Ezra. I think one interesting thing today, the podcast is all about us.
We've always wanted for this moment, right?
Yeah, so at least today we can say it's about us. But no, not really. It's not about us.
Not necessarily, not 110%, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, listeners. We are back with a new season. We have a lot of things, planned. We are putting our house in order and essentially working on the feedback that you all gave us. And today's episode really is us welcoming you back. We're just talking about, we're going to look back at where we were a few weeks ago, months ago, and then what happened while we were away, And and then we're going to reflect on what's the way forward, what is coming. All right.
Yeah.
So Kenan, let's just dive deep on it. Let's
go.
Last seasons, I don't know seasons or season. I mean, beginning January, beginning of this
Ezra,
year.
Before you go there, I think our first episode was this week last year, so it's kind of a anniversary. Yeah.
Wow. I don't give dates. I even forget my own birthday, so I wouldn't remember this.
So that's a milestone.
Okay, for 1 year on air. 1 year on air.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's good.
Perfect timing. Just coming back, Kenan, as you read in the Truth Minute, it's always good to look back.
Yeah.
It's always good to look back and reflect on where we've come and where we are, and just build on that. So just wanna get started by saying, Kenan, last season, in a nutshell, what will you say like we covered? Like if somebody was to ask you that.
I think from last season we
actually let me reframe this question.
Right.
Did we intend to go the direction we went when we began the year?
Ezra, we are blessed to be to have a very beautiful personality, me and you. And when we set out to do this podcast, let's admit, Ezra, we didn't have a clear plan.
No,
we didn't. We just said we have thoughts, we have ideas, we want to put it in voice, and we prayed obviously, and we asked, let's get guidance. So when we started this, we were, for one thing that we were sure of, we wanted to get real stories, real issues, and I think that's where we gathered, and then. As we went, the stories morphed and guests came. But one thing that I like that we did was we started with ourselves.
Yes. Actually that point of starting ourselves, the whole idea was, let's come together as we are sharing these stories. People don't know who these hosts are.
Yeah.
And then so episode 1 and 2, let's just reintroduce ourselves and then build on the content that roughly we had a sketch on, right?
Yeah.
And then after we did our stories, that became the podcast.
And
everybody was reaching out and sharing their stories.
And it's important to look at those episodes because we allowed ourselves to be vulnerable. And it was people that come into this room, we asked them to be vulnerable, but it was important for us to be vulnerable ourselves to get the feeling of what that means. And that allowed us to welcome people into our lives, and the same people welcomed us into their lives.
And so anyways, in a nutshell, that's how Amazing Truth Podcast has been. That's a nutshell how we got into the stories.
Let me ask you, Ezra,
last season.
Let me ask you, not to catch you, but when you shared your story, what are some of the takeaways that your personal story? What are some of the takeaways that you had? Just one or two.
That's a good question. And again, I think one of the takeaways that I had from that was it was awkward. It was putting yourself out there is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
It was awkward. And then, a podcast, you don't know what people think, what people see. You don't know who's listening and all that stuff. But I think there was an element of healing. There's an element of, growth and acknowledging the problems and the struggles that our wife has gone through with her health challenges.
Right.
And honestly, just realizing that you're not the only person, maybe couple who are going through that. And also then after that, honestly, Kenan, where I am right now is I'm realizing it's a daily growth thing. You're constantly going to be dealing with those issues. And how do you tackle them on a daily basis? So it's an ongoing process. It was
awkward.
It was awkward.
And hearing from your partner or your spouse and your wife, like, okay, that's a different
and I learned some things that I didn't know.
Exactly,
like,
me too.
So it
was good. It was a good experience. Awkward, but I think it was needed.
I think the biggest lesson that I've taken out of that is this concept of pain, unhealed pain becomes transferred pain.
Powerful.
Right? Or even intergenerational wounds. These are some of the things that I've taken out of it is that, many of us, we are a sum total of the experiences we have had in our childhood, in our families growing up. And actually, it just, sometimes when I see them in my family, in my I see them, I hate them, I don't like them. I know that these things are things I didn't like at home, and I'm bringing them here in this household. And that's the biggest struggle that I'm realizing, that unhealed pain is transferred pain. And I think today when you sit and you look at a lot of people, it's not that people are not loving people, but they don't have love to give. It's not that people are not caring people, but they have never even learned how to care for themselves first. So how can they care for someone else? It's not that people are not social, it's that they have had a way of socializing, and now you're asking them to step out of there.
Right.
So a lot of who we are and a lot of what we see when we talk about this concept of mental health, Kenan, I just want to bring it home and say that it's everyone is affected. Everyone has some pain that they're carrying. Everyone has some intergenerational wounds that they're carrying. Everyone has some areas in their life that they need to be vulnerable about. So those are the things I learned, and I'm still learning, man.
Yeah, I think when you say that, I remember Rehema's story, and just talking about her parents. And how, the need for communication.
Yes.
And the need for you to be heard. And you look at it and you listen to that story, you're like, okay, we are expecting our parents to maybe hear us or listen to us, but they themselves also have generational wounds that they're carrying and that they need to let out, to unpack. And once you hear that, you're like, you say, it's a lot of work. I mean, sometimes you think working backwards is easier, but I think it's both ways, working from our parents' perspective and from our elders' perspective, and going back, and meeting at some point where I say, this is what we need to lay out on the table and actually talk about it,
And the maturity of just is not even parents, and it's your co-workers, your peers that you're hanging out with. I think the hardest thing for me is just trying to put the lens that when my wife does certain things, it's not all right. When I do certain things from my perspective, sometimes I don't realize it's like, Ezra, that is a natural reaction to things, but that's a problem there. And it needs to be addressed.
And it could be your spouse, your wife, and it could be at work, at church, wherever you go. Someone may react or act in a way, and you're like, you take offense to it. But when you look introspectively, you say, maybe that's how that's what they know. That's their reality.
And Kenan, just to build on the point that you're saying, they some children who, when they cry, they're not crying because they are hungry. When they destroy things, they're not destroying things because, but it's the cry of attention. Like that's their way of saying, I need you. So I know the only way I'm going to get my parents' attention is if I break this glass. I know the only thing that I'm going to get, these guys' attention, if you're in a relationship, is by me threatening that I'm going to commit suicide. I know that the way I'm going to get attention from this guy is if, I do X, Y, Z. So you use unhealthy methods to get the attention of someone simply because that's in itself is a sign that you yourself, you need help, but you don't realize that. So I think all of us, man, when we start talking about these things, Kenan, we all need help, man.
Yeah, we do.
We all need help.
And when you talk, I think before, when you say help, Ezra, what comes to your mind? I mean, when you say we all need help, I mean, to me, help might be different from what. But if you just put in a general, because everything is custom made to whatever your pain is or your life's experiences. But in a general sense, what would this help look like? If we can talk about that.
I think some of the lessons that if I go back to, and we're reflecting on the previous podcast, and these are some of the things that we picked through that. I think some of the help actually, first of all, begins by us acknowledging the need of help. Like, I think for the most part, if you were to come and tell me, Ezra, you need help, I might be like, why are you judging me?
Right.
Why are you saying this? Why are you doing that? And all that stuff, right? So being open to first of all realize that, walking with an open mind that I need help. And to be honest, Kenan, this is the hardest thing for me. Like I'm just talking about myself. I'm just talking that, getting to a space and a place realizing that the things we see on the surface, they are not the root cause. So I think help is first of all acknowledging
First step. Yeah.
First step is the first step. I think they're the things that I've learned over a period of time is not being shy of getting feedback, because there's the who you think you are and versus who other people think who you are, and those are the ones who tell you the truth.
Yeah, and I think it's one thing to get feedback; it's another thing to accept
feedback, right?
You know, without being judgmental,
Exactly.
without feeling, getting angry,
Defensive.
you know. And it's a natural reaction, but I think acknowledging that and accepting it, for me personally, I think again, acknowledging and accepting that I need help.
Yeah.
But I think getting over the fear of what will people think when they hear that I'm going to therapy.
Yeah.
What will people think when they hear that I'm at a psychiatric hospital battling depression? I think for me, getting over that fear and the stigma that is around, I think that is big for me.
Yeah.
So knowing that I can do this for me, and if someone hears that I'm at a psychiatric hospital, I'm going for therapy, I'm taking these medications, this and that, knowing that it's okay for me to do
and sometimes it doesn't even have to be that extreme.
Yeah,
Like I'm a
yeah.
psychiatrist, some
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
and all that stuff, right? Why is it that when you always want to become better at school, you spend time in the library? When you want to become better at these, you get a mentor in that. When you want to become better, why is it that we don't want to? Why is it that when you want to come to run a marathon, you practice for it, you prep for it? But even our mental health is something that you have to be intentional to say that I might not be sick, but I need to find someone who I can bounce this idea off and see where we are and things like that.
allowing that Ezra, you and I talk.
Yeah.
So, and I think I've learned over the years that allowing even your buddy, allowing your buddy or your friend, someone that you trust into your life and saying, okay, I'm struggling with this. I need your help. Okay, not even help. I say, hey, let me run this by you to hear what you think. What do you think? I think it doesn't have to be a psychiatrist, a pastor, or whoever.
No.
Just your buddy that say, okay, I don't need advice. I just want you to hear me out.
Exactly.
Run it by them.
Normalizing that.
Yes.
Normalizing that.
And it helps when you talk.
Anyway, Kenan, we can keep going at these. Let's bring it home. Let's bring it home and say that when we start thinking about all these, what do you think as we are prepping for this next round of the next, as we are prepping the next season that we are starting, what was the break like for you? Like, why did we take a break? What are some of the reasons that made us take a break?
I'll just briefly just summarize I'll just give two. I think for me, the break was more personal for the podcast, in a sense. For the podcast, we needed to be out there. And I know during the break, we participated in rallies and we focused on the George Floyd, Dante Wright stuff that was going on. We had the food drives and all that, the personal podcast and angle. But I think for most of it, we were out there just reflecting on what we were talking about. And we had a chance to be in situations where we actually had to help. And that showed us that it's bigger than the podcast. It's bigger than what we're doing right here. It's more of being out there and actually facing those issues and having people that are actually going through those issues and being there for them. So we needed that time to do that.
And also to add on top of that, for the listeners, people have been some of the things that happened really is that we got calls. We got people who are reaching out and who actually needed help. And I think some of the cases where we're starting to look for, I remember at some point we were looking for therapists and we could not get anyone. We're driving to places and people needed all that. And I just want to say this as a testament that, it's more than just the weekly sitting here and just conversing and talking. We realize that it's one thing to have a conversation, but when someone actually comes and they need help and they're in a state and a place where they feel like, hey, I can make it, the podcast becomes secondary at that point, because that life is important. That person is more important about this. And we just want to say thank you to all those people who reached out to us. We just want to say thank you for trusting us with your lives. You just want to say thank you for allowing us to help you where we could. And that's not the end of it. And we're not saying we're experts and we don't know that. But I think it was reassuring and reaffirming to hear and to learn that people actually are saying, hey, you guys talk about this. What are some of the things that your audience have done, and how can I get some of those help and some of that help and resource? That was a worthwhile break that was needed, so that we can be able to do that.
And on a lighter note too, I think we wanted you to get caught up on the episodes as well.
Of course,
we wanted you to listen to what you haven't listened, and make it so when you start a new season, you're able to go with us.
Yeah,
and I think Ezra too. I think we are not we are not experts.
No.
But we can point you to the experts.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we learned, is that we have resources out here that we haven't even tapped into. So if you are there, you're reaching out, we know where we can find your place.
Yeah.
We can find your resource that you need.
And Kenan, it's very, I'm surprised today that we are sounding very serious.
I just thought about that. I thought about that. I was like, bring it in, but you were too serious.
Anyways, we
are still the same. But we have that. We can be serious.
Serious, yes. Yeah. People never know this side. But anyways, so bringing this back, again, let's so those are some of the things we have learned. And it's been exciting to even keep tabs with our friends who came to the podcast, see where they are and how things are going. That has been a good thing. I mean, I wish I could give shout outs, but those are personal matters of people. We'll just leave it there. Now let me just then transition to this, Kenan.
We have about 9 minutes. We want to make this a short.
This is a short one. This is to welcome you back. So Kenan, where are we going? Actually, what we tried to change these to go somewhere. What happened? we failed terribly. Right?
Yeah. So Ezra and I, whose idea? Okay, we'll take ownership. It was both of our ideas.
You cannot be crucifying each other.
So Ezra and I sat in one of our Tuesday meetings and we were talking. Okay, we've had stories. We've done this, and it was one of those times where we were out there and doing practical work, and we said, no, what angle can we take this podcast? And we scratched our heads. We looked, we made calls, we talked, and like, no.
We tried to switch the content to get different.
No, we totally different approach, totally different topic, but I don't know.
What was the theme? We titled it what? Purpose-driven life or something?
No, the purpose-driven life was good. I know Valmy was.
Valmy was key.
But after that,
it was supposed to build on
that. You wanted to do into business and trade and finance and all this, but we could find experts. But I don't think that's where the direction we wanted to go.
I think it wasn't natural. It's not who these podcasters evolved to become. And,
at least not yet.
Not yet. And I also think the other thing was that you can be a jack of all trades. And then number 3 is the feedback from a lot of people. And, we just kept on realizing and hearing and being asked and saying this and that. And so we just want to let you know that we have not left.
We've
tried to, but we were pulled back in. So that's where we're heading, right? So where are we heading?
For our mantra doesn't change. We'll still bring you more real issues embedded in the stories. Okay, we'll bring you real life stories, real life people, real life topics. But I think one thing we are going to focus on mostly, Ezra, is critical thinking.
Yes.
We don't want to give you a podcast high. You don't want to just hear a story. In Kenya we say udaku. We're not here to gossip and get you on that high or someone who's going no. We want you to think. Critical thinking about whatever we talk about. If it's a topic, we dive deep into it, we think together and see what philosophically we can achieve with that particular story.
And you know what that means, Ken? And that means we have to read a lot.
Read a lot. Are we muted? Did we say that line? No, but
there's a saying that says if you want to hide anything from a I don't want to be stereotypical, but they say
that's another thing. Implicit bias.
Implicit bias. So we're talking about. See, we're starting to use big words. Implicit bias. But anyways, if you want to hide anything from people of color, put it in writing. So when we say we're going to read a lot, even we started laughing ourselves. But that's not true. And that's a narrative that needs to be debunked.
Right.
And so we are not here to propagate that kind of thinking. But coming back to this, we really want to. We have some stories lined up, man. I think I know a couple that we've already, gotten in touch and we're working on. And I can assure you and tell you that you'll need to grab your seat, make sure that you subscribe and make sure that every time we go live, you're able to get that moment of reminder, that notification that we're going live, because we have some good stories coming. But I don't just say good because they're good stories. I say lessons to be learned. They're actually sad stories when you think about them, but at the same time they're educational.
Yep.
They can bring us home. And also, honestly, for me, I'm looking back to just laugh. I'm also looking forward to get some therapy out of these. I think that this is a space and a place where I just come to learn, and learning from others just opens my eyes. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to having ourselves vulnerable.
Yeah.
Having guests here that are here to share their story, personal, painful, sad, joyful stories.
Yes.
But in the end, get a lesson from it.
Now, what would you tell someone? I met a couple of friends and people who said, I have a story, but I'm not ready.
That is okay.
It's okay.
Not being ready is okay.
Yeah.
When your time is ready, when the time comes and you feel like your heart is ready, your mind is ready, your body is ready, your family or whoever is close to you is ready, then be it come. But one thing we can offer is we can come here and record.
Yes.
We can come here, we turn the mics on and you talk, and we won't post it.
Yes.
It gives you a refresher,
Yes.
prepare you to air it. And when you're ready, we share the story.
Yeah.
So don't sit down with your story, because your story, like we always say, Ezra, your story will touch someone.
Exactly.
It will help someone that is going through.
Exactly.
So don't deny someone that opportunity to get help. So if you have a story, reach out to us.
So listeners, as you're listening, this is just to welcome you back. This is to let you know that we didn't go away. We are alive. We are kicking.
Yeah.
We just want you to be part of this journey with us again as we get back on air.
Yes.
And, let's do it.
Let's do it. One thing also we will, Ezra, we are. The social media thing is just so we'll try to be active on social media. And
I'm not promising, but
we'll try. Keyword is try. We'll try to go to our Instagram. I think we put our faces there. This season we want to do different because we can put our faces there to see who is behind the mics. But we'll try to be as active out there as we can. And our handles are still the same. Just reach out to us if you have any questions or any comments. And
some things I want to put out here. This is not a space and a place to come and, just do it because you want content.
No.
This is not a space and a place that we want because we just want to, make you famous and popular. That's not the goal. We want you to subscribe and join our team, our followers, but not because we want numbers and not because we want, all that. Honestly, these are real heart-to-heart issues. And we are part of those pains that people say. We ourselves, we don't have it figured out. We don't. So we want to learn.
So once again, thank you for being part of our journey. Thank you for being with us and giving us your feedback and giving us the opportunity to sit down here and talk. So Ezra, as we wrap up now, final thoughts.
Final thoughts, man, is one thing that keeps on coming to the back of my mind is not settling for brass when you can get gold. And I don't know why I keep on thinking about that. I just hope this season we can challenge people. We can talk about emotional intelligence. We can talk about real stuff and package it well, the right way. Nowhere you're not shying away, but at the same time you are not you're not doing verbal diarrhea if that phrase. So I'm looking forward to the stories that are going to come through the air. I'm looking forward to laugh. I'm looking forward for the lessons learned, and honestly, I'm looking forward for healing myself and anybody else who will be listening.
Yes. For me, I'm looking forward to doing more of self-care for myself, and introducing self-care to the guests that come here, and more laughter and more great content that is meaningful, that is critically geared towards opening your mind up and thinking. So I think that will do it for this episode. Again, we'll still are releasing our episodes on Sundays. Keep up on our handles. Reach out to us on our website and on our emails, and just give us your feedback and content. Yeah.
As you close,
yes,
let me just preempt this. I can't wait. Let me just preempt and say that there's a special session of class that we're going to be working on.
Yeah.
That people can sign up in, and they can actually get tools that they can use to combat with the issues that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
We're working that behind the scenes, more details to come, but we have a good program that is going to be launched by one of the guests who will be joining us, gone through that program, and will be helping us to build that program.
So if you hear the episode, sign up. It's good to have knowledge is power. So if you have that knowledge, nobody can take that away from you. So that was this episode of the Amazing Truth Podcast. Thank you, and we'll talk to you in a bit.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Amazing Truth Podcast. We hope you were blessed as you listened. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. God bless you, and see you on the next one.